So I started with the team a bit over 2 years ago. I started in the journey right from the very beginning with Operation Ghost, as I'd alluded to, and back then I was running organised crime, and I was sort of one of those officers. Really, my mentality was to arrest the drug dealer, and that was it. You didn't worry about the user. It was more about, let's just keep targeting the supplier and then move on to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And that's how it was back then, because there was no pathway for us as police to offer any help. Along came Te Aroanga, and this is a collaboration between health and police. This gave police a pathway through a referral system that we could, for users and suppliers, offer them some assistance. So I came into the role around 2020, and it's been one of the best things I've experienced in my career. And one of the highlights have been really, it's when I hear the live life experience stories, because you've had a part in turning someone's life around, and there's nothing more humbling for someone to actually have had a part in that, whether it's just offering a referral, because that's our part. This is, that's the police stuff, that's the front end stuff for us, and then the back end stuff is what the alcohol and drug clinicians and all the other workers do in behind that. So, we can't do what we do without them, and they can't do what they do without us in terms of that Te Aroanga space. So in terms of our team, we've got at the moment a detective sergeant and 3 investigators here in Whangarei, and we have 1 in Kaitaia. The one in Kaitaia is a new position that sort of just started up because there was a need for some help in Kaitaia, because from our wastewater we could see that there was a massive problem up there. For a small community, there was a lot of meth that was going through the wastewater system. And when you look at the wastewater, it's only 30% of the actual people that live in the town. Most of them live on outside the wastewater, so but the levels are off the grid. So we've managed to get a person up there, which has been really good. So in terms of the staff that we, as I said, we have on the team, we had to be really selective around that, and we needed the perfect people that had that empathy, can talk to users, and because these guys aren't silly. They can read you like a book, and if they know you're not genuine, they'll cut you, and they won't want to hear what you've got to say. So in terms of the mahi that we do, one of the things that we do a lot of is just cold calls. So we will go around to someone's house where it could be from a family harm incident that's happened the week before, and police will attend and they'll fill out what they call a family harm report. And from that family harm report, there's a box there which says were drugs a factor in what's going on, and if that's ticked, and if they can get more information, was methamphetamine a factor? Yep. So then that'll come to our team, and then we will then go around to that address and introduce ourselves. And you only we don't wear uniform, but we have our vests on, so clearly we're police. When you knock on the door, you've got probably 2 minutes to try and win them over. It's a real brief interaction, what can be brief, because sometimes they just don't want to interact. So it's very, very quickly who you are from the meth harm reduction team. Understand there was a family harm incident here recently. Drugs might be a factor. What's going on? Do you want help? And then often you can kind of read from that body language, just all of a sudden someone who is really confrontational to a degree, really staunch up in you, and you just see that come off them, and they're like, they're not here to arrest me, they're actually here to help, and they may not take up that referral in that first instance, but often we're finding maybe on that second or third time that we're intervening or going around, that we're getting some acknowledgement, and they're saying, yeah, I need the help. And it doesn't have to be just for the user, it's for the whānau as well. Te Aroanga has the 5-step program. So what we'll do is, if it's the tāne who's the problem and the wahine wants help, then we will then offer to her a referral that she can get help. And often, that can be a segue into, if she gets the help, then hopefully he'll come around and start taking up our offer as well. So we do a lot of that, cold calling. We also do, when I speak about what we do, I look at it from a two-pronged sort of attack, I suppose. One end where we're attacking the supplier. So if we can disrupt the amount of methamphetamine that is out there, then we're making it hard for the user to get access to it. And if we're also going from the other end with the user, then we're hopefully going to reduce the demand from that supplier. And if we can get both of those things right, then hopefully the methamphetamine that is being used will reduce. But we know that, for every person you take out, there's another person that will step into those shoes, because it's a cycle. Once you get on the drug, we know that once it starts off as a bit of a use, then that builds and builds, and then all of a sudden you're starting to sell a little bit to fund your habit because you can't afford to do it. And it's a sad scene that we see over and over and over again. And that's when, sometimes we have to intervene. An intervention may be in the form of a search warrant where we're going around to someone's house and then we're arresting them for supplying methamphetamine. It may mean some incarceration for them, but sometimes they have to get out of that cycle and that circle that they're in to be able to break away from that, from the stealing that they're doing. And I know there's some stories that will come out later around that intervention and how it does work. And the other part again is around the users and just offering them a referral, some help. And that comes for us, and one of our best forms is just doing our cell visits in the mornings. So every morning we'll go around the cells at Whangarei Station, and we also do it at Kaitaia. And because most people, when they're in the cells overnight, they're at their lowest point. They're like lying there thinking, my life's shit, I'm here, I've got nothing to look forward to. I may have had my children taken off me. My partner is maybe dragged me into this, or whatever reason. So we'll knock on the door, and it's just a quick chat. We just, hey, Shane here from the meth harm reduction team. Just go around the cells, just seeing whether or not meth use is a factor in why you're here. And then some of the responses you get are like amazing. Some will start crying because they're like, oh, I don't have anyone, no one's ever offered me any help before, and I didn't know where to get it. And some will be like, nah, yeah, I use, but I've got it under control, I'm okay. And that's fine, we don't push it. And then some will say, yeah, I need the help. And then, so for us, then, we just keep a tab on, they go to court, they get kept in custody. When they get released, we'll send the referral to the DHB team. Most of the time, oh gosh, the name just dropped out of my head. Sorry, but and then that's when the process starts of a whānau connector going out to see them and get the assessment done, and then we've done our part from our end, and then the DHB are doing their part from the back end. The other thing that we do a lot of is drug testing. So one of the things that we find is that, to keep people off drugs, there's got to be that little bit of fear that they're going to be drug tested. So they get on bail. We will organise drug tests regularly for them. And we've found there was a lady that Mark dealt with, Ruthie, and she... there'd been some intervention with her. She'd been incarcerated for some time, and then got out and got her kids back, and then we just started drug testing her, and she'd fail, and then she was on her final warnings. If you don't pass your test, you're going back to prison. And then, but Mark did a lot of work with her, and did a test, and she passed. And so Mark went round there rather than, and she thought police turning up. She was like, oh, what? I haven't been using, but every time they saw our ute turn up, they always knew it was generally for a fail. So Mark went round there, handed her a test, and she had a lot of whānau around her, and it was a pass, and she said, oh, I passed, and they're all clapping, and and that started her journey, and now she's clean, and she's come out the other side, and she got a lot of pressure to try and keep doing what she was doing, but she said, nah, for my children, and for my partner, I've left that world. And you hear those stories, and it's that's the stuff that really kind of hits you, because you think, yeah, you do actually, or can make a difference, and that's what gets you into this role. In terms of the work that we've done over the last few years, just in terms of numbers, I think we've referred over 1,200 people to Te Arawaranga, and that's from 2017 to now. And that's, I don't know what the sort of how many of those have gone on to be successful or not, but we've given them an opportunity, to get to the door and maybe change their lives. And some it has. A lot of drug tests, and part of it, we do have to arrest, as I say, just sometimes, just to stop what's going on for them. And there was one lady I spoke to recently who was selling, and she said, thank you, she said, I was like a runaway train. I was not going to stop until police came to my house and surrounded it and arrested me. And sometimes, as I say, they just need that someone from the outside to come in and do that for them, because you're in that cycle, you just can't stop. But I guess for me, and I know for the team, I think the proudest moments are those lives that you turn around and as I say, you hear those stories, and forever, just for turning one life around, you're not just turning that person, it's also their whānau, their children, that wider group. You're turning all their lives around as well, and that's what is one of the most satisfying things. As I say, we can't do it on our own. It's a team effort with the DHB, and I think it's just only going to get better and better. And with some of these good stories that are going to come out, and Kristen, I know, is going to be pushing these good news stories within the police. So it's for us to keep pushing it and getting, everyone in the police on board this mahi.